Biomechanics 6.1 Notational Analysis. Biomechanics is used to either enhance performance or reduce the risk of injury. There's a kind of general pattern that it follows, which is where the athlete performs, their coach will then observe their performance. From this, they can then analyse the performance, and then feedback is given, and then change and improvement can be made by giving the performer new drills or different things to work on. Notational analysis is used to gather information and then analyse what's being gained from observing the performance in either a competitive situation or in a training session. A list of measurable performance markers are established, which are then looked out for in the performance. Notational analysis is the study of movement patterns, strategies, and tactics in team sports or individuals. It's usually carried out for both the coach's own side and on the opposition as well. This is then used to help the coach teach their players how to perform using the ideal technique. Notational analysis has evolved a lot over the years. In 1977, it started where they would analyse squash, and there would be 17 different symbols for different types of strokes in squash. This would take a really long process, so around 5 to 8 hours of analysing, where they would record over 1,000 shots, which took up over 30 pages of data. They would then split this into shots that were made and then missed, and that was kind of the basic way that notational analysis started. This was then developed in 1987 by Hughes, who started using a computer, which obviously sped up the process massively, where he compared again successful and unsuccessful shots in squash and in tennis. He also started looking at patterns within the game, so this has now helped massively when analysing sporting performance and developing sporting equipment that has clearly shown to help over the years through the analysis that's been taken. This also helps performance criteria, so looking at the skills and individuals within their teams and within sports. So obviously performance criteria for swimming is going to be a lot different to performance criteria in basketball, as they're two completely different sports, so we're using two completely different sets of skills. One type of notational analysis is movement analysis. So this is used to calculate work rate. So it's done by tracking the distance covered and the percentage of time spent in each position when in a game. Therefore, it allows specific position training to develop movement patterns and or fitness. This can be done by schematic diagrams, which are done by hand by drawing on a man-made pitch, or you can use GPS tracking, where the player wears a GPS and all the data is taken throughout the game and then uploaded onto a computer. Movement can also be looking at the muscles and joints, so the angles of the joints when taking a shot in tennis and how it should be, or in basketball when shooting, how the angles of their arms could help. In 1974, Riley and Thomas looked at football games and how their movement was used over the pitch in certain positions, which is now used in a lot of standardizing, so results can be referred back to what they did in their research. The next one is tactical. So this is a good way to be able to work out how you can help your team or player to improve. So what they would do, they'll find patterns in play in their own team and their opposition's teams. This can be varied at different levels. It then allows the coaches to plan training that helps to keep to a pattern or pick up on other teams' patterns, so you can work for your team's advantage around the opposition. So by knowing your own tactics and the other teams, you can kind of play against each other. The next one is technical. So this is where success and unsuccessful skills are collected and calculated to find a percentage. So this can be easily used to show where there is areas for improvement and where their strengths are. Coaches are then able to adapt training sessions accordingly to help their players improve. And as it's given in a frequency or percentage, it's then easy to review and compare players and compare to performance criteria in which that player might actually be suited for a different position by showing the skills that they excel in. So, talking specifically about basketball, I've picked out 6 different skills within basketball that are used a lot in the game, and this is like the performance criteria for them. So the first one is being 3-point shots. So they're from outside of the black line semicircle. So any shot that's taken and goes in from outside is 3 points for the team. The next one is 2-point shots. So this is when it's from inside of the semicircle. So anything that's scored is then 2 points for the team. A rebound is when a player retrieves the ball after a missed shot. So this can be offensive or defensive. So the offensive will be if they get their team's rebound, and defensive is if they get the other team's rebound. The next one is a layup. So this is a way of scoring a basket. So it's scored from inside of the D, and they dribble up to the basket and shoot off the backboard. The turnover is when the ball is legally taken from the opposition team from their mistake. So they might miss dribble and drop the ball, so the opposition team is able to take it. And something that's slightly similar is a steal. So this is when the ball is taken from the opposition team. So you're allowed to grab the ball out of their hand as long as you don't make contact with them. So when collecting the data, I have made a data sheet which I then used to tally the skills that I was looking at. So the method that we were using was watching a basketball game live and then recording everything that we saw. We also had a video camera that was filming the game alongside as we were doing it live. The equipment is obviously very basic. You just need a video camera and something to take down the skills that you noted. But this could also be done in more advanced ways, which are usually looked at as better, like apps and software that can be used to show the skills, and they can pick up on what the skills are being done. So this is my data collection sheet, and it shows all the criteria that will be collected during the analysis. It's a simple tally chart which will allow me to easily collect the data while I'm watching the basketball game live. I'll also be able to use this same table when collecting the tally from the video analysis to back up what I collected when watching live, as down to human error I could miss a few things, so the video helps make my analysis more reliable. I've also made a schematic diagram from the video which I drew on a piece of paper. So evaluating notational methods. There are a lot of advantages to this, being that it's easy to see what needs improving because you're able to watch the game, take notes of the clear weaknesses and advantages of the player, and then plan sessions according to their weaknesses. It can also help with position analysis, so you can be specific to certain positions within a game, like a forward or a centre. It can be done with limited equipment, so like we did, you can literally just watch a game live and take note on a piece of paper. It also allows you to get stats from opposition teams, which then can allow your own team to play better against them if you know how they play. It also allows players to watch themselves, So that's a really good way of learning if they're able to watch themselves back and really see what they're doing in their skill and then work around trying to improve it. There is now a lot of advanced software which allows notational analysis to be taken really easy now and really easily looked at by kind of sports scientists or the players themselves. It can also be used as a reassessment tracker, so from one game set of stats you can then compare it to a game in a couple of weeks after you may have changed your kind of training sessions to help improve. And there's also lots of different performance criteria that's been made for different sports and positions, so it's easy to find what you need to work towards, and then obviously have more training in the weaker areas. And it gives exact percentages from the performance, so you compare it to yourself or the perfect model or other people in the team. Although there are some disadvantages of this, being that it's not relevant to some sports, so things like individual sports, if you're trying to kind of compare them to other people, it might be a bit harder. It also can still be time consuming, so if you're doing it without technology and just watching it, you obviously have to sit there for a whole game and concentrate for the whole game, taking note the whole time. And obviously if you're doing this, you'll need a lot of knowledge on the sport, so you're going to need to know the perfect model and for each skill that you're looking for. The software, if you are doing it technically, can be very expensive and quite hard to get hold of unless you are an actual kind of like sports analysis. Although notational analysis picks out the weaknesses, it doesn't actually tell you how you can improve on them, so that's down to yourself. There can also be human error. When collecting the data, you could be ticking off things that aren't actually happening or are happening and you're missing them. It also doesn't give context. It's normally just a percentage or just kind of a number and a tally, so it's not actually any context behind it. Obviously, more than one person is needed to do it. You can't obviously watch a whole team by yourself in a game and pick up on what everyone does. The percentages could be misleading, so you could have 100% of shots successfully scored, but you might have only taken one shot, so it's a bit misleading. And it also shouldn't be used alone, down to this misleading of the percentages. You should also have like a column or a table showing how many shots they were taken, not just the percentages alone of successful and unsuccessful. And the reliability is questionable when it's taken, because obviously if it is within a team and it's the coach taking the data, they could be preferable to a certain player, or they could just think that their players are perfect already. So it's like the reliability of it is quite questionable.